A Su-27 fighter from the Baltic Fleet was scrambled to intercept a Danish F-16 that was rapidly approaching our borders, it seems. The Russian crew moves in on the intruder, compelling it to alter its course to prevent a collision. This maneuver is what we call backing off. The Sukhoi also rocked its wings, displaying its air-to-air missiles, which essentially translates to stop right now or I'll shoot. In recent times, our pilots have been encountering NATO aircraft with increasing frequency. This particular incident occurred over Syria. Here's some rare footage of our Su-35 fighter flying in close proximity to an American Reaper reconnaissance drone. On June 29th, the drone came dangerously close to one of our planes during a routine flight. The Ministry of Defense has stated that a collision was averted solely due to the skill and professionalism of the Russian pilots. Earlier on June 29th, on June 25th, at an altitude of 8 kilometers, a Reaper nearly collided with a Su-34 fighter. Tragedy was again averted due to the skillful actions of our crew. It's a clear violation. Drone flights in international airspace absolutely must be coordinated with Russia. It's a necessity for safety and de-escalation. But the US just turns a blind eye, completely disregarding established protocols. American reconnaissance drones are constantly circling over the Black Sea, collecting intel. For example, the Global Hawk drone actively coordinates attacks on Crimea, including the horrific terrorist attack on Sevastopol on June 23rd. Sappers are still working tirelessly, clearing the coast of dangerous cluster munitions from the American ATACMS missile. Defense Minister Andrei Belousov has instructed the General Staff to develop effective ways to respond to the presence of NATO drones near our borders. The Pentagon's response was immediate and quite clear. The US has stated it will continue its flights over international waters in the Black Sea region. However, interestingly enough, American Global Hawks haven't been seen since our Defense Ministry's official statement on the matter. How can the Russian army counter drones off the coast of Crimea? How do we force drones to abort their mission and return to base? Why can't they be shot down? Can Russian EW be used to combat unmanned scouts? And why did the Americans ultimately withdraw their drones from the Black Sea? In recent days, American Poseidon aircraft have been actively operating near Russia's southern borders, performing various maneuvers. This naval reconnaissance plane is specifically equipped to search for enemy ships and submarines, but it also has the capability to monitor objects within the coastal zone. The P-8 Poseidon is quite capable, able to stay airborne for up to 8 hours at a time. The crew typically flies from the Sigonella Air Base in Sicily all the way to the Black Sea region. It's approximately 1,600 kilometers in a straight line directly to Sevastopol. Factoring in the round trip, that gives them about 4 hours of continuous surveillance. If absolutely necessary, the Poseidon can be refueled over Romania. Flight radar reports a spy plane has been actively circling off the Romanian coast. It seems to be closely monitoring Odessa and the northern Black Sea region. Apparently, the Ukrainian armed forces are launching missiles, drones, and unmanned boats toward Crimea, and they're using this very area as their launch point, so it's certainly possible that these aerial spies are actively coordinating the strikes, providing real-time intelligence.
Why is this so important? Because our Black Sea Fleet is a vital force in the region. It's crucial that they have the most accurate, up-to-date intelligence on our armed forces, especially our naval fleet operating in the Black Sea.
In addition, an RC-135 reconnaissance plane has been transferred all the way from the British airbase Waddington to Eastern Europe, and its primary mission is to detect any air defense systems and electronic warfare equipment that may be present. We've seen those planes flying along our borders in the past. However, this time, they're being covered by a flight of 4 fighter jets instead of the usual 2. To give the Russian army a real chance to effectively shoot down drones and even planes, we absolutely need to establish a no-fly zone along the Crimean coast. I'm thinking maybe 200 kilometers out from the coast, and there's historical precedent for this kind of action. That's exactly what NATO countries did when they bombed Yugoslavia, if you remember.
That would really be an advantage for us. What does a no-fly zone mean? It's a zone where military aircraft, at least dual-purpose ones, can't fly. It's a set of measures that would provide us with, well, relatively peaceful skies.
But there haven't been any drones in the Black Sea for 2 weeks. That's what the Pentagon is betting on now.
Well, that's mainly because drones are way more versatile than just recon planes, you see. Reconnaissance planes are great for gathering intel, but drones can also drop bombs, so to speak, and of course they can gather intelligence in a much more dynamic and adaptable way. It's a significant advantage.
The US's primary reconnaissance asset is the strategic Global Hawk drone. Its impressive endurance allows it to stay airborne for up to 30 hours, a feat no human crew could match at the controls. This extended flight time means the drone can continuously monitor Russian missile launches, including air defense systems, for over a day. It can also detect the activity of aircraft. It can also detect the activity of electronic warfare stations and meticulously track the takeoffs and landings of planes, helicopters, and even other drones. This provides a comprehensive overview of military activities in areas like Crimea, all from an altitude of 18 kilometers. Traditional reconnaissance planes typically fly at about half that height, making the Global Hawk a much safer option. Furthermore, the drone can accurately identify a target and pinpoint its coordinates from a distance of approximately 100 kilometers, offering a significant advantage in intelligence gathering.
Well, drones really represent a leap forward in military technology, especially when you consider the integration of IT in modern warfare. They definitely surpass traditional reconnaissance planes in many aspects. Drones offer enhanced control, greater precision, and overall, they prove to be a far more effective tool for executing disruptive operations with minimal risk and maximum impact. It's a game changer, really.
So how exactly do we counter these increasingly sophisticated reconnaissance drones? Experts are suggesting that we need to essentially make it impossible for them to operate effectively in contested airspace. Things like using artificial turbulence to disrupt their flight patterns and sensitive sensors. Just last month on June 23rd, a US Global Hawk and a Russian MiG-31 crossed paths rather dramatically over the Black Sea. The fighter jet flew directly over the drone at twice the speed of sound. It's quite interesting that on that very same day, our Minister of Defense received a call from the Pentagon chief, Lloyd Austin, specifically to discuss the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. As you may recall, the last time the heads of the Russian and US military departments communicated was back in March of last year. That was when another American Reaper drone unfortunately couldn't survive an encounter with Russian aviation near the Crimean coast. The heavy drone had invaded airspace that was restricted due to the special military operation. In response, a Su-27 fighter was scrambled to intercept. All dumped fuel on the drone, attempting to force the operator to alter its course immediately. While trying desperately to evade, the Reaper started maneuvering sharply, ultimately leading to a crash directly into the water. The Reaper was flying with its transponders turned completely off, which forced us to quickly scramble fighter jets in order to properly identify the intruder. It's worth noting that American drones seem to do this kind of thing all the time, quite regularly. Yes, Russian specialists successfully recovered and thoroughly studied the Reaper drone. It's quite possible that the Americans were concerned that the Global Hawk might also fall into the hands of our engineers. Therefore, they decided to stop the flights altogether, which makes sense. Electronic warfare offers another avenue to disrupt reconnaissance drones. However, jamming strategic drones presents a significant challenge. These advanced drones boast multiple communication and control channels. That's right, Ukraine relies almost entirely on NATO intelligence. You see, they only have tactical drones, not strategic ones. Well, of course, not having strategic drones won't completely stop NATO's intelligence gathering. They still have planes and satellites, so they're not entirely blind. However, their ability to adjust strikes on Crimea will definitely be diminished. They simply can't watch the Russian army in real time 24/7 online anymore. It was the Global Hawk that guided those American ATACMS missiles into Crimea. Missiles launched from HIMARS and M2 systems, making it a critical asset.